Welcome to the Student Academic Learning Services video on proportion. In this video, we're going to define proportion, take a look at a test to see whether or not a statement is a proportion, and then solve for a missing variable in a proportion. First, let's take a look at the definition. A proportion states that two rates or two ratios are equal. Now that we have a definition of proportions in place, we're going to take a look at figuring out whether a statement is a proportion or not. And a statement is a proportion only if it passes the equality test for fractions. Okay? So the equality test for fractions, and it might be a good idea to write this down, is for any two fractions where b cannot equal 0 and d cannot equal 0, we have the fraction a over b equals c over d if and only if a times d equals b times c. Okay, so that's a mathematical way of saying if we take the denominator in the first fraction and multiply it by the numerator in the second fraction, and then take the numerator in the first fraction and multiply it by the denominator in the second fraction, they'll be the same. We'll get the same number. Okay, so let's try and cement this a little bit more by looking at an example. Here we're going to find out if the following are proportions or not. So we have 1/2 equals 2/3. So we're going to take 1 as our a value, 2 is going to be our b value, this 2 is going to be our c value, and this 3 is going to be our d value. So if we sub in to this, we'll get 1 times 3 equals 2 times 2, right? And that comes from right here. So 1 times 3 is 3, 2 times 2 is 4. So these are not equal, so this statement here is not a proportion. Let's take a look at the second example. We have 4 over 7 equals 12 over 21. So we're going to do the same thing. We're going to take 4 times 21 equals 7 times 12. 4 times 21 is 84, and 7 times 12 is also 84. So here, they're equal, so we can state that yes, this is a proportion because the two fractions are equal. Now that we have a better understanding of proportions, we can start to solve these types of questions where we're looking for a single value in a proportion. In order to do that, we're going to have to remember our equality for fractions test, which stated that if we had a over b equaled c over d, if and only if a times d equaled b times c. So we're going to use this method here in order to solve for x in these examples. So in our first example, we have 2 over 4 equals 6 over x. So we're going to take the cross product. So we're going to get 2 times x equals 4 times 6. And now all we have to do is just simplify this. So 2 times x is 2x. 4 times 6 is 24. We're going to isolate the x now, so we're going to have to divide both sides of the equation by 2. So this 2 is going to cancel out with that 2, leaving x by itself, and 24 divided by 2 is 12. So if we haven't made any arithmetic mistakes, that x should be equal to 12. And it should be fairly intuitive that 2 over 4 is equal to 1/2, and 6 over 12 is equal to 1/2. So we're fairly confident that our answer of x equals 12 is correct. Let's look at the second example. Here we have x over 7 equals 14 over 2. Again, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to do x times 2 equals 7 times 14, right? We're just going to take the cross products here. So x times 2 is 2x, and 7 times 14 is equal to 98. Again, we want to isolate x, so we're going to divide both sides of the equation by 2. That gets x by itself, and 98 divided by 2 is equal to 49. Again, using a little bit of intuition here, 14 divided by 2 on this side of the proportion is 7, and 49, our x value, divided by 7 is also equal to 7. So we're fairly confident again that we haven't made any arithmetic mistakes, and our answer is x equals 49. This concludes our video on proportions. If you have any questions regarding the material, I encourage you to come to the SAL Center, located in room 204 of the Student Services Building, and make an appointment with the appropriate learning skills advisor. Thanks for watching.